Hey, 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 welcome back. Hour number two, and however many hours we go after this of the political deep dive. Now we are in the after dark section. And let me bring on my crew, Cara Valente, the Care Bear, the most wonderful.
No, folks, you're not seeing double.
And from Arizona, the Sass Master General, Tyler Smith. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you? And yes, folks, your wish you'll see less. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, man. So I really enjoyed the show tonight. I didn't know quite how it was going to go, but Damon Wright is a local guy who I saw when the George Floyd stuff blew up, and we became friends. And George and Damon was at the Berkeley. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to talk about this, but he was at the Berkeley Springs event with me that really kind of opened my eyes to the vitriol on the other side. Like, I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize how bad it was until I went to that event, and it just, I literally feared for my life, and I feared for a lot of the people there walking to their cars afterwards. And we had local politicians that were there. We had our the Democratic congressional candidate. She probably didn't weigh more than 100 pounds soaking wet. She really sweet lady, but I was worried for her. And the girl that I'd gone to the event with, Tara, actually carried a pistol. She
Not
had,
me.
yeah, not Kara, Tara.
Oh, Tara.
Tara Sheffer. She's state secretary for the Libertarian Party here, but she's like 5 foot, and she had her gun with her, and people kept coming up to her saying, "Man, I'm glad you're on our side." So, because there were a lot of people there that wanted to beat the fool out of us. But it was a fantastic show. The going over what the difference between the organization and the movement of Black Lives Matter within the United States, and how it gets confused and twisted by its opponents to kind of use it as a bludgeon to hit it with. Um, that the idea that, oh, one of the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement is an avowed Marxist. It doesn't taint everybody involved in the movement, especially when you saw it this summer. Those aren't all Marxists in the United States that were involved this summer. That's a movement.
Well, I just don't know if I can accept that as fact. I'm just kidding. No, like that's one of the biggest battles, I think, from our standpoint as the observers and the allies for this movement. It's making that distinction, and it's become very difficult because we've all experienced it. I mean, I've done it a few times with GSM rights issues and stuff like that. It's like, please don't speak on my behalf. And you no, like, I get it, like, I from that point of view. But then it's like, how can we make that distinction about what people are using as a boogeyman? First of all, it's already laughable. It's like, oh, they're a cultural Marxist, like, cultural Marxist provocateur, everything like that. I'm like, no. I mean, yeah, that one person identified as that, and I know a few people who are part of it that do identify as that. But at the end of the day, like, they're not coming into my house and saying, you will redistribute that little bit of wealth you got. Like, it's a belief system that they're entitled to have as individuals. And if they take part of that group, that does not immediately destroy the entire group or its credibility and what it's fighting for. Because at the end of the day, that should be the focus, not, what did they eat for dinner last night? I'm kosher. I can't participate if they eat pork. Like, you can't just, it's so stupid, like in my opinion. But
yeah, exactly.
Well, and when they call someone an avowed Marxist, what do they mean? Are they someone who just wants to make sure that everybody has health care? Because mark me down, you want to make sure that everybody has the ability to access their legal rights and their civil rights equally, then I'm there. I don't understand why. Well, I do understand that the right is so afraid of its eroding relevance in our political culture that they are just looking to find anything they can to demonize the left. And that's, I mean, when you hear QAnon supporters talking about how liberals like I are baby eating pedophiles who, I mean, it's just laughable.
Oh my God.
It's
Yeah.
laughable, who are operating a satanic sex ring through a pizza parlor. Like, really?
Do you guys
Really?
listen to yourselves? Like, just take a step back as a casual observer. If you heard somebody spout the shit that they spout, it strains credulity.
It would be laughable if they weren't so fucking violent about it.
Oh yeah, I mean they shot guns at that pizza parlor, the supposed pizza parlor because it has a triangle. Excuse me, pizzas are fucking trying. They have triangles in them. They have triangles in them. It's the shape of the slice.
Uh-huh.
Like they're like, oh well, the angle of the slice means that it's just this weird, almost. Well, it is a cult. It really is a cult. Like this pig farmer in the Philippines thinks that he is.
Oh my God.
He has I'm not disparaging pig farmers, and I'm not disparaging people in the Philippines, but of the people on this planet that have this inside information about everything that's going on in the world, I'm not going to put it there. I'm not going to trust the pig farmer to keep that information.
Wow.
I don't know, man. They've taken everything's on such faith. It's like hard to reason. Like, yeah, take a step back. Think about what you're putting out there. Logically, how does that work? And I think that we've made such a boogeyman out of the quote unquote elites. And I'm not a big fan of people who think of themselves as elite, but I think we've made such this all powerful boogeyman out of them that it allows people to have this, oh, they can do this. They all prey on children and drink their blood to become
It's just
younger.
ridiculous.
Oh my God, my head hurts. And the one thing I kept on pointing to him, because they always talk about Jeffrey Epstein and the all these flight logs and all of this, Tom Hanks was, on his plane, and Bill Clinton, and
Oh my God.
the dude that I've seen him in most photos with is Donald Trump. Why do you guys not have a problem with Donald Trump?
Right.
They love Donald Trump. They think Donald Trump was, is what he's exposing this stuff. No, he's not. He's not doing crap.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
It's just,
I think his video's frozen, Care Bear.
oh, am I frozen?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry. Charles sent me a link to an article just now. You've heard about Cowboys for Trump out of New Mexico?
Oh yeah, Coy something.
Griffin,
yeah, got arrested.
and actually Patrick used to work with him and said that a bigger asshole has never existed. If there's a face that needs punching,
Yeah,
but I guess he was arrested at the Capitol.
at the Capitol. I know
Yeah.
he had said that at the last Otero, because he's the Otero County Commissioner, which is Alamogordo.
Yeah.
He said he was going to the inauguration. He said that my vehicle is an extension of my home, and that I'm going to have weapons in there. Yeah.
Well,
if he tried to breach the perimeter. Again, we can talk about gun laws in DC and all that stuff, and that's not an argument for today at this point. The driving into the Capitol with weapons is not a good idea at this point.
no. But It's I will note that our Attorney General, Hector Balderas,
Mhm.
and our state auditor, Brian Colon, have called for him to resign, and if he doesn't, they're going to take legal action. And Charles just said one more thing. So Brian said, if you make it back from DC, I'll be waiting for you.
Nice.
I love Brian.
So, Tyler, any craziness going on out in Arizona?
To be honest, they had been prepping for it. I know they mobilized a few National Guard units and stuff like that. Nothing like the rest, like a lot of the other states. But even then, there was actually a specific thing saying we don't think Arizona's really going to do anything or really pop off in any way. Like I said, we drove around, or well, I rode around and I kind of looked, at hotels and stuff, and there were a lot of flag drapes, MAGA wagons.
A lot of what? I'm sorry, a lot of what?
Flag drapes, MAGA wagons.
Oh yeah, maggots.
And it's it was a little unsettling because it's these are full hotel parking lots, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna have to, get out of the city for a little bit.
Mhm.
And then I was I'm watching it and seeing how our state was prepping for retaliation. I was like, okay, I've seen defensive postures before. I know the codes and everything like that as far as how behavior of military personnel is supposed to work in those types of situations. They're not threatened. I'm not threatened. I mean, so really nothing major went on here. There were, and what was even funnier, I'm looking at some of these other states where they were expecting massive crowds, like Columbus, Ohio, and there's maybe 4 dozen people. It was adorable.
And they were yelling at each other. They weren't even
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping that these insurrectionists have decided that maybe this is a poor way to die and will back off a little bit. But I'm still concerned.
I'll be concerned
alarmed.
until the inauguration's done, and when the inauguration's done, then I think we'll see a ratcheting down. I mean, I'm hoping that we'll see a ratcheting down.
I certainly hope so.
But I do expect there to be some rando popping off on a group of people.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That it's what did you said it, David? I'm waiting for inauguration day because Trump has made it abundantly clear that he's no longer doing any presidential duties. He's delegating all his authority to Mike, and Mike's been acting as our president right now. He's been pulling an Edith Wilson from behind the scenes, and
I'm not hating it, by the way.
Right,
No.
it's oh, this is what it. Okay, I remember this feeling. It's still the same amount of disgust, but less shock value. I'm cool with this. I'm used to this.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he's saying he's not leaving until the morning of the inauguration. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of unsettles me too. Does this guy think something's gonna happen? Is something going to happen?
Well,
what is he projecting here?
Well, I think he would take any. In fact, having thought about what happened on the 6th, I think he wants his folks to do this.
Of course he does.
He wants his folks to go down in a blaze of glory, so he can then justify doing something else, martial law, whatever, and holding on.
Well, you saw the Mind Pillow guy.
Yeah.
And his notes and.
What the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, really, you're going to take a pillow manufacturer's ideas about martial law and run with that? You scary motherfucker.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to work for that dude anymore. That's for damn sure. Because
the My Pillow guy, yeah,
exactly. He brings you into his office and smothers you with his own product.
Sweet governmentally approved dreams. You better be in bed, otherwise we'll shoot you. My Pillow.
I joked
it's Mind Pillow.
Mind Pillow, yeah. But I've joked over the last few weeks that all these people that are in Trump's circle are just auditioning for parts of his Politburo.
Oh my God.
Like when the shit hits the fan.
Did you see Kellyanne Conway and Bill Maher this week?
No.
Oh my
I don't
God.
watch Bill Maher in ages.
Pretty great show, actually.
Yeah.
The libertarian in you guys would totally approve, I think.
Uh-oh. Did they actually have a libertarian there, or
Is what?
did they actually have a libertarian there, or?
Well, he's got some pretty libertarian views.
He's got social libertarian views, yes.
Check him out. I mean,
But,
listen, I have taken the view that I can't have only purist views put in my face. That politically, that's just a disaster.
Well, nobody will ever accuse me of being a purist.
Right.
But
I can take a hint, guys.
Not
no.
you silly monkey.
No, I'm just saying that
you silly monkey.
I have my goals. I have my goals, which are much more pure. But
Sure,
I'm willing to drag the country. I'm willing to give and take because I know that. I've always said that. I want a great libertarian society, even an anarcho society. Absolutely, I think that would be far superior to what we've got going on right now. But I know that at least a third of the country is Democratic, and a little less is Republican, and there are a shit ton of independent people who are not necessarily libertarian. They may have libertarian leanings. Even Democrats and Republicans might have libertarian leanings, but you're never going to get every one of them to agree to that, giving up government.
right.
We have to learn where we're going to wrestle away some of that power, because I think we've adequately demonstrated over the last 4 years that the president has far too much power. And I think Congress needs to rein back all the stuff that it tries to regulate, because it tries to do too much. It tries to it's still trying to, as we talked about in the first hour, it's trying to legislate social ills away, and you just can't do that. But we that as a party, if we're going to get into that conversation, we have to be able to say, what, we're going to talk about what we how do we rein that power back in, and we're going to have to make deals. We're going to have to talk about that. But when when we talk about where our core philosophy is, that's where I'm coming at. Where I'm coming at you politically from is, my idea of government is this: no government.
Well, yeah.
I have a perfect place for everybody to start on, and even like the sensible, I use that term very liberally, but the sensible Republicans that have revealed themselves in the past 2 weeks, where the fuck they were the past 4 years, we don't know. But
Well, and all five of them
hiding from the Trump supporters. They're terrified.
Of course
I mean,
they are.
I guess, but yeah. But anyway, like, thank God that they've started to like pop out of the woodwork, because there's the one issue, which was your show's topic tonight. It's like criminal justice reform and tackling that, because honestly, that's one of the biggest like foundational pieces of this entire system of corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And the big part about it is, it's like, we can all agree that it's a screwed up problem, whether it's like Republicans or that claim they care about gun rights and the two-way thing, Democrats that are focused in on the social justice and the racial disparaging of it all, and then there's libertarians who, like, we're on both sides. That we can build that bridge. Independents can get behind it. Non-politically affiliated people get behind it. We like, if that's one of the biggest things, I think, going into the next 4 years, we need to hold. Sorry, no, you're fine. We need to hold Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's feet to the fire, because they're going in with a massive wave of distrust of who they are as people, as it pertains to criminal justice. And they have an option or an opportunity here to shed that skin and, get that target off their back, which rightfully earned one. But
Well,
if
maybe
they,
we shouldn't say targets on their backs is a good thing in
that's
any
fair.
way.
That's
We're
fair.
just, let's de-escalate the language a little bit.
Right.
So,
Hi, Ralph's my NSA agent. Okay, but yeah, they've been rightfully labeled this like this kind of stuff. But hopefully, we can all come together, hold their feet to the fire. Like, don't do what Trump supporting Republicans did over the past few years and start making excuses every time there's a pitfall on one of your pet issues.
yeah.
It's
Right.
not because they made a mistake. They knew exactly what they were doing. Trump knew exactly what he was doing. And that's been my message to a few of my friends that are like big Democrats and like Biden or Kamala and stuff. It's like, I just want you to know, I'm not changing. You might. Like,
I think that most of us on the left have not all of us, but most of us have become more comfortable with the idea of we don't hold a plurality of the political opinion in this country. We have to govern for everybody, so we have to listen to everybody. And I think that that's a healthy thing, that there has to be some sensible governance, and in order to do that, you have to earn the trust of the people by listening to them, by acknowledging that their thoughts and their feelings are valid and their ideas are maybe not the best ideas, all of them, but they're worthy of listening to.
Well, I hope so. Travis Rednick, my partner on the hockey podcast, chimes in and says, "Are they sensible or just trying to save their own hides?" I would say they're just trying to save their own hides. That's
Are you who's he talking to? The sensible Republicans?
yeah, Tyler.
Talking about
I was trying to be nice. I tried it. I didn't like it. Worst 5 seconds of my life. I'm right. He's right. So
Yeah, no, seriously.
So,
I think that
there's certainly self-preservation there, but honestly, as easy as the choice is for someone like me to say, these people need to not be serving in Congress. These people need not be put in positions of power because they can't be trusted to follow the Constitution or to uphold their oaths of office, and they have violent intent. The people who have stood up to that, to their credit, have done so fairly bravely because their lives have been threatened.
Mhm.
And I heard an interview with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez the other day. She didn't feel safe even sheltering in place with some of these people. And these are her colleagues. That's a terrifying concept to me, that you could be shot by someone you work with because you don't share their views. I'm a teacher, so I could be shot by someone I work with any day, but
I think that we have made this such, the game of politics into such a zero-sum thing that you win, I lose, I win, you lose, because we don't want to be seen as compromising, because our base is we must win, win.
right.
That losing is something that is existential, and that it does bring into a life and death aspect to it, and it doesn't. It used to be our inherently life and death political decisions were, are we going to go to war?
Right.
And maybe it's because we said yes to every one of those. So
Well, and are we now? Are we looking at such a division in this country that there's a drumbeat for a civil war in this country? I certainly hope not, but are we there? Are we approaching that?
Or are we going to take the position that if, let's say, Donald Trump takes off on January 20th then goes to Texas. And Texas then subsequently says, you know what, we're seceding. Do we just take a hacksaw to the border and just cut it right the fuck off?
Build a very high wall.
Build a wall. We're building a wall.
Make Texas pay for it.
Yeah.
And then we'll invade their oil-rich nation.
Yeah, they need freedom.
I love you.
Oh my God, I've been experiencing American politics for the last 20 years, and that just came out.
We grew up in this, and we've been doing this our whole lives. And David, we've not been on the same, at least, party side in many, many years. But I think we certainly share a lot of the same values.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing. People have been sold this idea that I'm a Republican and my team must win and must defeat the Democrats.
Right.
And when you get down to brass tacks, if you talk to people, that's why I always encourage people talk to somebody who's not in your tribe. Just talk to them for 10 minutes. Don't talk about politics. Talk about your hopes, your dreams, your how your life is going and things like that. And you're really going to discover that we are far more similar than what we're being told by the media and told by the politicians. Mm-hmm. That there isn't a massive divide between, what I need to make sure to get through my life and make sure that my family's happy and I don't, I'm not harassed by the government. I'm not harassed by, politicians or whatever. That we all have very similar wants and needs. We may have some different solutions on how to get there, but we can't continue to think of each other as the enemy. We've weaponized our culture.
It's very sad.
Yeah.
On the 6th, I sat in. Wednesdays are kind of my light teaching day. I'm not the teacher of record in the classes, but I'm the co-teacher. Mm-hmm. And I watched quite a bit of what was going on, and I cried a lot. And I found myself not only praying, but messaging to my parish saying, please join me in prayer. Right now, things are really dire. And I'm not the most religious person in the world by a moonshot, but I felt the need to God, I'm an atheist Catholic, I felt the need to.
I was pissed. I was so damn pissed.
I was pissed, but God, it hurt because we're all brothers and sisters, right?
Yeah.
And much like our family, we've got some brothers and sisters that aren't quite stable right now.
Yeah. It's sad. It's hard. It's been a hard time in this country. And, whoever sold us this bullshit about 2021 being better, kick their fucking ass.
That 7-day free trial was not worth it.
Well, and I saw a calendar. I think it's in my phone, and I'll have to share it with you. But it was 2021, and it was like Jantobuary. Yeah, Jantobuary or something, and there were like 4 13ths, and
oh yeah, that's
Friday funny. Maybe.
Yeah. Friday straight to Monday, no weekend.
That's right, no weekend.
Oh God, yeah. So, what about some happy news? Do we have any happy news out there?
Donald Trump stopped being president and delegated all his authority to Pence.
This is true.
So we already covered that.
Yeah, we should acknowledge that with some gratitude, although he's not out of the office yet. And I still think he's got some intentions for shenanigans on the 20th. So I won't be that he wants this military send off in a 21 gun salute, and
Where are they pointed?
I want him out. I want him out. And I know that that's not going to solve all our problems, but boy, it will sure feel good. I've heard Biden talking lately, and whatever you think of Joe Biden, isn't it nice to have an adult talking?
I'm just,
He gave a conference the
figuring out
other
how
day about
to have him
he gave a
do it.
conference the other day about coronavirus, and he didn't tell us to shove sunshine up our asses or drink bleach. And I was like, who is this? What? Why is my president not telling me to shove sunshine up my ass?
Well,
It's
honestly,
refreshing.
I would like to get the politicians out of these coronavirus briefings. I think that there is a lot more harm that comes from them being.
Maybe. I don't know. It's just nice to have a grown up in the room again,
Yeah.
regardless of his party. Good news. I had my very first dose of the Pfizer vaccine yesterday.
Nice. How'd that go?
And it went fine.
Any superpowers?
No superpowers, none. I'm a little
Moderna then.
I'm a little fatigued today,
Yeah.
but otherwise not bad.
So you got the zombie strain.
I got the zombie strain. No, I'm so glad, and it was a mistake. It was a fluke that I got it. One of our EAs was getting the vaccine, and we said, well, how'd you get it? And she said, oh, here's the links. Go sign up. So we did. It was for Presbyterian. We went, signed up. I sent it. Amanda signed up. I got Patrick to sign up. And that evening, I tried sending it to Father Frank, and he said, I got a message saying by clicking here, I'm certifying that I'm an employee or a frontline medical worker. And I thought, uh-oh. And I sent it to Charles, and he said the same thing. And so the next morning I called Presbyterian and I said, look, if I did something wrong, I'm so sorry. I didn't see that kind of a pass, a gateway that I had to click to. And she said, oh, you didn't do anything wrong. It got sent out to the general public without that gate yesterday. And we've had people sign up. And I said, well, by all means, if you need to cancel my appointment, cancel it. And she said, no, we've ordered your vaccine. We're honoring those vaccines. You're going to get it. Come in Saturday. So we went yesterday afternoon and rolled up our sleeves and got our vaccine. I got a little bit of a rush afterwards, which I hadn't experienced with another vaccine. It was the cocaine backing. No. Just like a feeling of just general flushing. They make you sit in your car and wait for about 15 minutes until you can safely go to make sure you don't have a reaction. Yeah. And that was a strange sensation, but it was gone in an instant. And I felt fine, and we did our shopping and, went on with our day. Everything was fine. Today I am, excuse me, just a little fatigued, but I've been up since 7:30. I got up, went and did some extra grocery shopping for the birthday dinner and took my daughter out to get her birthday presents, and then came home and cooked and cleaned and baked a cake and entertained my kids. And by the time dinner was done, I was fairly immobile.
Yeah.
But
I'm setting up a rack of ribs to cook for tomorrow.
So. Ooh, I like ribs.
I love ribs. Meaty treats.
I made carne asada fries.
What?
Have you ever had carne asada fries?
Oh, wow.
On top of fries?
Carne asada on top of fries with guacamole and cheese and sour cream and cilantro. It's so good.
I can get behind this.
It's kind of a big pub food here. And yeah, it's a big Southwest dish now. You can get it at a lot of restaurants. And Amanda wanted that. And she said, can we make them? So I went out and bought a flank steak, and I made this fantastic citrus marinade. And oh my gosh, it was so good.
I'll have to do that because I'm not going to get that here in West Virginia. I'll get pepperoni rolls. Oh,
man, but you could sell it.
Yeah, I could.
I bet you could sell it.
Isn't that a fascinating? We brought that up. Isn't that fascinating? How like anywhere outside of like a real like Appalachian area, like you say pepperoni rolls, and they're like completely baffled. Not only that the fact that it exists, but as like an entire concept. Like, what do you mean? How do you
Would you
make
explain that to me? Because I
Right.
have not experienced this.
It's
Right.
pepperoni instead of a roll.
It's
Right.
what?
It's
Example.
pepperoni inside of a roll. I mean, that's really all that it is. It's
You mean
know,
like you would make a cinnamon roll but put pepperoni in it?
not more like bread roll, like a dinner roll type.
Yeah,
Okay.
like you take like a King's Hawaiian or something like that, and you hollow it out, stuff some pepperoni and mozzarella inside of it, throw it in the oven, let it bake, all that kind of stuff like that. Like, but that's what I'm
Right.
saying. Like that right there. It's like it's such a simplistic food that I think it's more people like, how did West Virginia think of that first? And it's
How did that happen?
like
And you see them in the store, and you're like, certified free, 7 days a week, baby. Yeah.
right, yeah.
yeah.
Buy a dozen, get a half a dozen like free or something like that because they're really
Yeah.
cheap to make. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
we got
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, we got a snack kiosk at work that sells essentially what is a pepperoni and cheese roll, and they call it instant calzone. I'm like, no, fuck you. First of all,
First of all, bitch.
Don't rename this. You didn't invent it.
this is appropriation of the most abhorrent sort.
Cultural appropriation. Oh my
What's
God!
next?
Speaking
Now
of,
you
I
got dibs
saw
on my cousin. No, just kidding.
I saw one of those food hack videos yesterday, and some bitch took a pie shell and she poured in a can of SpaghettiOs.
Oh God, what the fuck?
Wait.
It can't get any better than that.
It does. It does. Then she poured a little milk over it and put in a few sprinkles of cheese. Then she poured in another can. One of them was nose dogs, like the hot dogs in the nose, and one of them was nose balls. It was the hot meatballs. And then she put more cheese on it. And then she took white bread, 4 slices of white bread, buttered it, and sprinkled it with garlic powder. She cut the crusts off and then layered that on top as a kind of crust and baked it.
What?
And
Andrew Lee,
I wanted to beat
white
her.
ass,
Holy
lazy
shit.
motherfucking cooking have I ever seen?
Yes.
What? Why? Oh.
I think had it been any other thing besides SpaghettiOs, I probably would have tried it.
Now I have a fondness for SpaghettiOs, but it's to me it's about compartmentalizing my life.
Yeah.
I love Italian food. That is not Italian food. Canned ravioli, not Italian food. I love it. I will eat it maybe once a year. And here's the rule with the canned ravioli: you must eat it out of the can. You cannot heat it in any way.
Yep.
You cannot eat it with a. What have you got there? You've got a case.
A little 4-pack.
Baby, that's my brother.
Yeah.
So you must eat it with a spoon, not the small spoon, the big spoon. And you can't do it with a fork, because if you do, you'll disturb the integrity of the pasta. Well, we'll say pasta lightly here. It's a loose. But here's the beautiful thing. If you do this right, you will get raviolis that are sealed back to back as like a double pouch, and you can't bite them. You have to eat them all in one bite.
So I will tell you though, the reason why I love my raviolis out of the can is that Italian food always tastes better cold. Like you go to a restaurant, eat it, and it's great. But if you bring home leftovers, that next day they are better than they were at the restaurant. To me,
Not Alfredo.
Alfredo turns into
Good call.
that turns into school paste, but you know that. I think because the heat, you're not getting the heat, the temperature heat, you're actually tasting more of the flavors within the tomato sauce and whatever's in the sauce. But that's my theory.
I don't know.
Yeah, because
Okay,
I've had homemade dishes that I make or that my mama makes or something like that, and they're pretty good hot. Like they're good cold. Don't get me wrong. I see your theory here, but like if you like go to something like Roma 3 or Olive Garden or Gino's Pizzeria or something like that and get like their pasta dishes there, the next day, yeah, it tastes 20 times better. Partly because I
Oh,
think like
so
also
Travis
Totino.
says your carne asada fries sound like Southwestern poutine, which yeah,
Who
it does.
said that?
Travis Reddick, my podcast
It,
partner on the hockey
it
show.
is kind of like poutine, a little bit. I've had
Yeah.
poutine. It's tastier because it's not just brown gravy and cheese curds. It is like all of the great
Now you just
spices and
declared
stuff.
war on Canada. You've just declared war on Quebec here.
I already
No,
say, Kevin's over here creating an
listen, I
international
love my
incident between
Canadian
three countries.
friends. I love Canadians. I love poutine. I'm not insulting it. I'm just saying that this is better if you like. Let me walk that back just a little bit. If you like spicy food, this is
Okay.
pretty great.
All right. We may have peace in our time then.
Uh,
So Kathy Hedges,
Trevor.
I just vomited when I saw that. Yeah, well, I mean, people are never going to watch this show because of the things that I reveal on this show and think, why is Dave a fat guy? Like, why is Dave a fat guy? It's completely apparent. Mountain Dew and raviolis. Come on.
How does one respond to this, Nick?
One does not. One does not. You encourage it at your peril.
Okay, so I guess other good news, I'm walking without a cane finally.
Awesome.
Hey, that's wonderful. Yeah, gout's no joke here.
Did you get
Well, like
it
I
out?
said, it's one of those afflictions that I kind of brought on myself because of, I was eating like shit, everything like that. I mean, I'm sure there's other factors that play into it, but that's the main one that I saw whenever I'd sit there and read through the paperwork on it. And it did hurt. I won't lie, it hurt like a son of a bitch. But it's definitely. I mean, notice tonight there's no bourbon or any sodas. It's all water tonight. Like,
Water.
I'm one of those weird Karens on Grubhub and what's the other one? DoorDash, the one I hate. I'm one of those guys that have to please don't put any seasoning on the chicken unless it's this, this, and this. Like,
Why do you hate DoorDash?
Look, maybe it's different everywhere else, but in Phoenix, Arizona, DoorDash is one of the worst, or at least has the worst team of drivers on the planet.
Really?
It's great.
Like
the only one that works here.
I have a friend that works for them. He does a pretty decent job, but I'm pretty sure he's the only reason that they aren't getting like an F rating in my book. Like I've ordered stuff, they either forget half the order, they never show up. They end up overcharging me, or it's always been something with DoorDash. Grubhub I can deal with. Grubhub has yet to hurt me. Grubhub loves Tyler, and Tyler loves Grubhub. So, and then Postmates is for rich people.
What's for rich people?
Postmates.
Oh, Postmates.
Yeah, Postmates. They won't deliver to you if you're not in a fancy neighborhood.
I got fucking $8.99 delivery fees. Like, you can get the hell out of here. I'll take the $2 bus fare to go and pick it up. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, DoorDash is the only one that works here because we're in a new build neighborhood. My address is not yet in Google, and so like Grubhub doesn't even know I exist. Postmates I gave up on when I lived in Martinsburg. So DoorDash, the only issue is if they don't read the instructions, then they get to my road because my road is in Google, and that's what they've got as my address is just Stager Avenue. But they can't get to, if they don't read the instructions, which has my actual house address, they can't get there. So. But it's nice because now I can, now that we moved up here, I can actually order stuff from Hagerstown rather than just I broke something. Oh, okay. So order something from Martinsburg. So I'm kind of happy with that. They get both Martinsburg and Hagerstown stuff.
I don't have a clue what you're talking about. So, okay.
Hagerstown is Maryland, biggest
Oh,
city,
I see.
big city north of us, but
How close are you to Maryland?
I'm right on the border. Baldwin
Wow.
Waters is right on the Potomac.
Wow.
Um, so
Oh, I had a friend that used to live in Hagerstown, and she would always tell me like she would always like taking the road that like blurred the border between the two states, and she's like, it was like think of like going through El Paso and you can look over the fence and see Mexico. That's what we felt like. I was like, fuck you.
no, like the entire river is actually Maryland's possession. So even
Ah,
down towards the Virginia side, but yeah, I mean, you drive down the road about maybe a quarter mile, and you see the Potomac running right there. So
oh, wow.
I don't feel some like I'm going to a foreign country if I go to Maryland, even though we call it the People's Republic.
People's
All the
Republic of
liberals live
Maryland.
there, huh?
What's that?
All the liberals live there?
Well, it's been gerrymandered to shit. It's one of the. I mean, people think that gerrymandering has been kind of a Republican thing, but in Maryland it's a very Democratic thing. Western Maryland is fairly conservative, and the Eastern Shore is fairly conservative, but like that interior pocket between Baltimore and DC, all the way to
Yeah.
Frederick, all federal workers, and yeah, it is very liberal, but they gerrymandered it so that I think they only have like one Republican congressman in Maryland now, maybe not even any. So,
Wow.
but yeah,
Wow.
it's there are some funky looking districts out of that state. Um, but I mean, it is a heavily Democratic state.
Okay. So, Lauren Boebert.
Oh boy, Tyranny Barbie or Treason Barbie.
Treason Barbie. Poor man Sarah Palin. Discuss.
She does have a Palin. She's like if Palin and Michelle Bachmann had a love child.
Oh, what about that Christine woman from Delaware?
Oh, the I'm not a witch chick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've actually seen some subsequent interviews with her after that. That just she. I mean,
Is she a witch or not?
she fell into it. Definitely, she took the bait on that one.
Well, okay, but I saw her in a debate with Chris Coons, and I mean, that was not a fair fight. And he asked her to name one amendment to the Constitution because she said she didn't like any changes to the Constitution. And he asked her in the debate, can you name one amendment in the Constitution that you support? And that dumb bitch couldn't come up with a Second Amendment, which she railed on constantly. She didn't understand that that was an amendment to the Constitution. There ought to be some standards when we elect our officials.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm just saying, the moment you do that, I'm going to be very sad because this is my source of entertainment into watching those guys go at each other. So, and especially when people like Lasco come out or the Boebert.
I want some boring damn bureaucrats running things like professionals. That's all I want.
I saw a meme earlier, it made me laugh because it's like, it's one of those things like I probably could have thought of this, but that's what makes it funny. It's like for one, you want Sarah Palin, but you don't want all of that intelligence she has, and then it has a picture of later.
Ask your doctor if Lauren Boebert is right for you.
I heard her communications director resigned.
He did. He
Was
did.
he the one that was? I guess was that over sending the text of where Nancy Pelosi was?
I'm not sure if it was that or if he was one of the people giving the Capitol tours to the Vanilla ISIS.
Okay.
Vanilla ISIS.
Yeah. Jesus.
Allahu snack bar.
Oh my goodness.
That's funny.
The hottest.
Y'all, Kada.
So I'm not. So I don't think we're going to see much come out of Inauguration Day in DC. I just don't think that. I don't see. I don't think we'll see like the protests that we saw in 2016 or 2017. Um, even on the fringes of the federal pen that they put there in downtown DC. Um, I just don't think people are willing to drive down there and incur that wrath.
I hope that some of these people have learned their lesson and decided that maybe spending the rest of my life or the next 15 years or whatever in federal prison isn't right for me. I know that Chewbacca, the guy with the horns, is looking at 13 years from what I understand.
Well, I don't think he's going to get his special diet there.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about too, because it's been brought up a few times, like over the airwaves and everything. Like, how soon do you think like this wave of pardons is going to come out, and it's not going to be anybody that everybody's telling him to do. It's going to be all these people that are prominent that took part in that step.
But what? I don't know that he's going to be doing the pardons because one of the stories that's emerged this week is that the White House is no longer taking phone calls from one Rudy Giuliani.
It's because he charges $20,000 a day, and Trump is refusing to pay him. Exactly. All the stupid stuff, pay your lawyer, you dumbass.
Well, now I mean, I think Rudy would just settle for a pardon because I mean, honestly, I don't see how this guy doesn't get disbarred.
Oh, I think he clearly is headed in that direction. I did see, where did I see it? A report that Giuliani demanded $2 million from a former FBI agent. Was it FBI or CIA for a pardon? He said it's going to cost you $2 million. And the guy was like, are you kidding me? It's not worth it to save a $75,000 or $700,000 pension. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
So, but and he was convicted of, I think he was convicted of outing a witness or something.
Well, I bet you they could get him to do other things if there was a 13-year-old girl there. Speaking of QAnon pedophiles and shit.
Did you see that Borat?
I saw that scene, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. He was not adjusting his mic.
No.
Nope.
Although one of my favorite memes of this whole last year was the Donald Trump wiping his mouth next to Rudy Giuliani on the bed from that scene. It says, "You owe your lawyer money, and you got to pay."
Oh, I did not see that one, and I am.
That was pretty raunchy. I love that one.
It has been a good time for memes. Maybe I missed that, but I just want boring for a while. I just want.
I worry about boring in the sense that I deal with bureaucrats, and they can get away with a lot of stuff if you're not. I mean, if people aren't doing dumb things to kind of highlight that you should be looking at this, they could get away with a lot of.
Yeah,
I think that's what worries me too, is the complacency that might reach hate hold.
Well, I mean, you and I are never going to be that. None of us are going to be that person that gets complacent and doesn't pay attention to what's going on in the news. But God, it would be just so nice not to clench my teeth until they break at night.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the idea that I could go a couple days and not hear some outrage. And it's really
no more doom scrolling for a week.
Outrage loop that's been going on for 4 years. It's like, my God, Donald Trump drinks 4 or 6 Diet Cokes a day. Who cares? But
let's talk about the Adderall he's snorting.
We should have just sent him some porn stars. I think he would have been a lot happier throughout.
What is that? Am I that culturally ignorant that I don't know about these things? What is Orange Star?
No, porn stars.
Porn stars.
Stars. Oh, I'm like orange
His favorite
stars.
drug.
I need that to be like a new like
Ask your
marketing tool
doctor if
for
corn
acid
stars are right for
tabs.
you.
Have you tried the new Orange Star? Dude, this trip will take you on the ride of your life.
Oh my God.
Don't worry.
Oh, I feel so dumb now. I feel so dumb now.
No, don't feel dumb because I could honestly see this becoming a thing now. Like I will give you royalties for it too.
Yeah.
Okay. Could use some I like money.
This trip will
teacher,
be
I
like
don't
nothing
need
you've ever
We just need to
experienced.
find
Like the first hour, you feel like you own the world. You feel like you're king. The second hour, it's like all of a sudden you're realizing not everybody's buying your shit, and you're mad at the world. And then that third one hits, and you think everybody loves you again, even though you're being a complete obnoxious asshole. But you're too arrogant to care. New
that
Orange
sounds like
Star.
you're tweeting. You're rage tweeting.
Right. You know, the fourth hour, you're rage tweeting, and your phone dies.
Rage tweeting at 2 a.m. in the morning. That's sad.
Oh my God. Wow.
New
Wow.
Orange
That's
Star
something here. I think
from
we got-
Medellin. I don't know.
You know, I have found myself though in the past month and a half, even though I really miss my parents, being really grateful they didn't live to see all this crap.
Well, mom would have been in jail. Mom would have been in jail. She would have done something. She would have done something at the last inauguration.
Oh, she would have been. Oh my God.
She would have. And
You know,
well,
the revelation of mom's behavior
yeah,
has rocked me.
Okay.
I spent an hour after talking to you on the phone with my therapist in tears.
Really.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I understand. I understand why she did it.
I do too.
Should we?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Why not?
So my
Cathartic.
mom, when my dad was passing away of cancer in 1989, it turned out to be a very traumatic experience. The family that we have in New Jersey, his brothers and sisters, wanted to bring him back to New Jersey to live out his last days.
To the extent that they had a kidnapping plot, and my uncle flew out on his private plane to do just that, and discovered that he wasn't well enough to make the trip
Yeah,
back.
this is when Dad was in VA hospice at this point. But you know, they wanted him buried
With his real family.
at the family plot whole, and Dad had requested that he be cremated upon his death. And you know, Mom was hell bent on making sure that wish was taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad, you know, when Dad passed away, we did the, you know, during that whole period leading up to his death, she was getting calls from family members saying, you know, he needs to come home to his real family, and you know, it really upset Mom. You know, it was really, you know, that was a really hard time for her, and so he was cremated, and I actually took part in this. Because when you told me this, I was like, I remember doing this, but I didn't remember where they were going. But she filled little baggies full of his ashes, and she sent them to the relatives, which is kind of like a very Italian thing to do, or a very gangster thing to do. You know, send a body part of your.
She could have just sent a thumb or something. Might as well have.
Yeah, it was a very I will say it was very gangster, but I mean, to the extent that she did it and what she had gone through during that whole period, of all the family, you know, and I will leave Uncle Jim out of it because he actually helped us out quite a bit during that period, but the rest of the family, I understand why she did it. Would I have done that? No, I'm too nice to do that.
Although you probably did.
Well, I took part in it. I just didn't know.
But you were a kid. You didn't know.
Yeah, well, I think she even said that she was going to send it, but you know, I didn't think it was any malicious intent. I thought it was, you know, so they would have a piece of him to either bury or to, you know, dump out wherever he wanted to do it. In fact, I think that's how she sold it. But Yeah, that was mom knew how to send a message.
I was horrified. I was horrified because, these are my aunts and uncles, and they cut us out as soon as dad was gone. And I always felt very close to them. And it hurt that, my calls went unanswered, or, and no Christmas cards, no nothing, no concern, no nothing. And I never understood why. And I was talking to our cousin Tony, and she had also been cut out by the family for various reasons. Her dad, um, and business stuff, and it was, just kind of general awfulness on the family's part. And she said, Cara, you know why they were so angry with you? And I said, no, I have no idea. I've never understood it. And she said, well, it's because of what your mom did. And I just said, what did she do? Because I had no idea. And she told me that she had sent out the baggies of ashes to all the family members. And these are really, really Catholic people. And Vatican II is kind of lost on them. The whole cremation thing is not their thing. They don't get it. And especially separating him like that was very, very painful. And I guess her dad also was really hurt, though he never said anything to us.
Well, he didn't take it out on us. And
No, he did. The others did. The others did, and I've never understood that. I still don't understand it because we didn't have,
we didn't do it.
we didn't know.
Well,
We didn't do it.
I did it, but I didn't know what I was doing.
You didn't know. I
Yeah.
mean, and you were a kid. I was 21. I wasn't living in the house. Oh, what an awful time that was. But I'm just so glad that mom and dad didn't live to see this.
Oof.
Dad would have been just devastated. His party becoming the party of the lunatics. And
Oh, I don't think Dad would have been a Republican by now.
no, I don't think so either.
Dad would have left a long time ago.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have agreed with me about, I don't think he would have been libertarian. I don't think he would have agreed with me on military stances and things like that. But he was very Catholic and abortion and things like that. I don't think we would have agreed on. But
well, Dad and I talked about all of that stuff because he groomed me to be political.
mm-hmm.
And that was our thing together. And abortion wasn't his number one issue at all. It wasn't. And I think he had kind of the whole hands off kind of thing. It's, I don't agree with it, but it's the law. And, we didn't really talk about that. He was morally opposed to the death penalty. And that's why I think he probably would have become a Democrat, if a conservative Democrat. I think he would have liked Biden. Biden's a Catholic. I think he would have liked that. I don't know. It's really hard. You can't really judge.
It's funny. One of my favorite memories of being in the Libertarian Party was 2016 convention, being on the floor and working hard to pass the plank calling for the end of the death penalty.
Yeah.
That to me, I grew up and I was that, kind of kill them all, let God sort them out type deal. And, death penalty is fine and it's a deterrent, and just seeing the application of it over the years and seeing the number of innocent people who have been killed or who are exonerated on death row through the increased use of DNA testing and things like that.
Right.
That really changed my opinion. And people will say, the Trumpers that we see today cannot be redeemed. They can't be saved. They can't. They're lost forever. I don't see it like that. I mean,
I hope not. I don't think the majority of them are that way.
No. Well, I know that a majority of the Republicans are not that way. I know that a majority of the Republicans are scared shitless of that Trump base, and they feel that if they do something to offend that Trump base, that they're going to come to harm, which means they're going to lose, which speaks to the whole I lose, it's an existential crisis.
Yeah.
But I think some of them are coming to that point. Like, we made it through Watergate. Watergate was a very low ebb. It was a very tough time to be a Republican.
Yeah.
They look how quickly they came back from that. Within 4 years, they're 6 years, they have the presidency and the Senate.
Yep.
Less than 20 or just over 20 years from that, they ended up having the Senate and the House for the first time in 4 years.
Well, but remember this though, David. Nixon had, God, it's so hard to say this word, the decency to recognize that what he did was wrong, and he quit.
True.
He left in shame, and he spent the rest of his days. But I recently heard a story. I think Michael Beschloss was telling the story of how he, at the end, brought Kissinger into the White House, and he asked Kissinger to get on his knees with him, and ostensibly to pray. And I think Kissinger said neither one of us is, in his favor right now. I mean, we're not religious. And Nixon just sobbed, face down on the carpet, pounding the carpet, yelling, "What have I done? What have I done?" He had a conscience.
Yeah.
He wasn't a good guy, but he had a conscience. I never really believed before Trump that there was someone who would serve as president who didn't love our country, and who didn't, whether they were misguided or wrong or motivated by greed or whatever, that they didn't have this sense of patriotism and duty to their country until Trump. And with him, I think he had absolutely no loyalty to our country, no sense of honor or decency or right, concepts of right or wrong.
Yeah.
And that's pretty horrifying.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you guys talk amongst yourselves for a couple minutes because I've been drinking way too many Mountain Dew, so I'll be back in a moment.
Okay.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, okay. We can do that.
Well, so how's everything else going as far as New Mexico and your pandemic response and stuff? We still haven't improved in Phoenix at all, so.
We have improved. We have a governor who has taken a lot of heat, but she has been vigilant and keeps us abreast of what's going on, the daily numbers. She posts them every day. She holds weekly press conferences, and she talks about masking. She talks about the steps we need to take in order to be able to reopen.
Right.
We don't have in-person dining right now, which I am fine with. I would like to see things open up again. I would love to be able to go out again, but I think that we're headed in that direction. The end of October, early November was really bad. Heading into Thanksgiving, we had one day where we had nearly 4,000 cases in one day, which was terrifying. Since we've cracked down and sharpened our guidelines, and really made an effort, we've brought them down to where they hover between 9 and 1,500 a day, which has been it's a big change. I went out today shopping.
Yeah.
I wore my mask. I carry my hand sanitizer. I'm pretty vigilant about everything. And today was the first time I went out and I noticed that there wasn't a single person who wasn't wearing their mask as a chin bra. It seems like everybody is wearing their masks properly, taking things seriously. Of course, I do go grocery shopping at the Liberal Sprouts grocery market, and I live in a pretty
How dare you, Connie?
I live in a pretty affluent part of town. It's fairly conservative in some of these neighborhoods, but people seem to be actually like following the guidelines and doing their part. And our cases are coming down, and that's good. I will be very relieved when we get to a point where the majority of the population is vaccinated and we can start opening things up again and living life a little bit more normally. I think it's going to take a year before things are back to a point where we remember that those carefree days where we didn't have to wear masks and we went where we wanted. It's going to take some time, but I think that we're headed in the right direction here. And I love our governor. She takes so much crap and threats constantly, and it's just awful. And she's this feisty little woman. She was offered a cabinet position with Biden, and she turned it down because she felt like she needed to do her job here in New Mexico and get the virus under control before she did anything. I think she was up for Health and Human Services, or I can't remember which one, but she did turn it down. She'd be terrific. She was a congresswoman before. I've actually known her for a number of years. When I was contemplating running for the state house, she came to my house and encouraged me and was just lovely about it. And then she told me she was thinking about running for Congress. And I said, well, do you have a petition? And she did, and I signed it right there. And she's a really dear person, a really smart, I think, ethical, good person. And I used to say I don't really, as much as I have always been a loyal, hardworking Democrat, if someone is hardworking for their community, I'm going to listen to what they have to say. If they have integrity, and I just haven't seen a lot of that in the Republican Party in recent years. She is one of those people, though, that has kept me in the fold of the party because she is just that good at what she does.
Mhm.
I give her nothing but respect.
Let's see. We got a comment from Matt Metzger. I think both major parties have lost sight of what each other stands for. They both have good and bad stances, but the divide is too great right now for either of them to work together. Yeah, I kind of agree with that in that they're not talking with one another. People don't
Right.
talk to one another, so you can't.
It's really hard to talk to people that want you dead, right?
Yeah, but again, I don't. Even our dumbass local representative, who's a complete Trump ass kisser, Alex Mooney. I don't think he wants his opponents dead. Are there some dumbasses in that GOP caucus that could? I mean, I think Lauren Boebert, despite all her bluster about having weapons, is just a blowhard.
I think she's stupid.
That too. But let's start the conversation before we get back to this point again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the big part of it for me. Like, I've been asked that before. It's like, well, you're all talking about this like you don't want to see it come to shove or anything like that. Da, 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 da. I'm not. I don't. Am I ready for it? No, nobody is. Am I probably a little bit more prepared for it than most others? Yeah, well, especially more than these people that are screaming for it now. Like, it's a bunch of nonsense, and it's ridiculous. We've reached those levels of hatred for each other, even in the libertarian and anarchist side of things. And most of the time, we're the ones standing at the ring side and just like, all right, taking all bets. So, like, what are the odds this time around?
Yeah.
And but now we're actually actively witnessing families being torn apart, people threatening each other, everything. And there's plenty of blame to go around on all that. But the only way, and why I enjoy doing this so thoroughly, the only way we're going to stop that is to stop listening to people like their talking heads and start doing more of this.
Yes.
What we're doing right now.
Yes.
This right here terrifies the hell out of every single one of them. And that's what needs to start happening more often. And I get it, because I'll actually stand with because some people I can already see the comment, well, I'm not allying with a white supremacist or da 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 da. Neither am I. But I can't find out if he's a white supremacist or not without trying to figure it out, like, get to know him. Like there's still the baseline, have a dialogue, figure it out. If the person isn't worth your time and is actually a toxic presence, then get rid of them. This whole broad stroking and painting everybody with a brush, like, we have our own inner party drama, and like I'll opine on certain things. I never broad stroke an entire group. I will call individuals out by name because those are the ones that need to be called out. This broad stroking and creating factions out of political parties and philosophies is heartbreaking to me, because at the end of the day, we all want what's best for our community. Some factions are a little malicious. Can't figure it out unless we start talking and working together to make sure that those are the ones that deserve to feel embarrassed, ostracized, and out. And
I will agree with you on that.
You have to get more voices in the conversation, because
phone's dying. Phone's dying. Bye.
Bye. Well, but you have to get more voices in the conversation than just, yeah, here we've got two libertarians and a Democrat, but you need to have, a Constitution person or a Green Party person, or I think that is one of the fundamental problems that people are not seeing, is that you're only being presented two choices with the current media. You're only ever presented two choices when it comes to a debate. When it comes to your, I can't tell you how many people have told me, "Oh, I didn't know you guys had somebody running for this office or that office." I didn't know you guys had a governor. Yeah, we would love to show you our candidate for governor because she was phenomenal. But
I love Erica.
Yeah, Erica's badass. But she, the people in power when it comes to deciding who's in the debates, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, they're like, you only get two choices. And I think that's such a disservice to every voter in the state of West Virginia, because honestly, Ben Salango didn't cut it, as a candidate for governor. And people deserve to see Danny and Erica on that debate stage.
For sure. And that's what I mean. Like, that's why I brought up, like, we have to stop, like, letting the talking heads make our decisions for us. Do we have a preference for talking heads? Yeah, we're human. That's what we're going to do. Stop molding your life around what they're saying.
Yeah.
There is no political philosophy or anything that is worth sacrificing your family for, that's worth sacrificing the genuine human connection of love. There's no political philosophy that you will ever convince me of that is worth that wanton loneliness going into your later years of life. There's nothing you would tell me that is worth that. I mean, that's fine. Like, people are like, well, again, I see comments as I say shit, because I already know there's these whatabouters and all these other nonsensical bad actors in debate that are going to sit there, well, they're like Leo Tolstoy and Alexander Solzhenitsyn, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, sovereign citizens, every single one of them, good for them. They were fucking miserable. They even said so in their writings.
Yeah.
Like, I am all for it. I am all for sovereign, sovereign citizenship, everything like that. I am absolutely all for it. I am not ready to sacrifice my genuine human connection for a piece of philosophy that can in no way stimulate me mentally.
No.
So other than making me hate everybody I look at. And I've come to this realization as of, the turn of the year and everything like that, because it's like, I do like Solzhenitsyn and Tolstoy, two of my favorite people to read. Like, I still go back and read Mises and early Rothbard, because we don't talk about late Rothbard.
Yes.
And like, I still go back and read all these people: Goldwater, Friedman, Hazlitt, Hayek, Proudhon. Like, I read all of these people, and I love what they're saying. I love everything about the philosophy. I truly believe, as you said, it's 20 times better than what any system we have now to sit there and live in an anarchist society. However, at the end of the day, you can't do anything to make that society happen if you become that weird asshole that just screams taxation is theft or rent is murder at people.
Yeah,
And you'll notice I hit both sides on that because you can't. And the moment that you all start fucking realizing that, instead of calling everything fucking racist or socialist, because those are our favorite fucking buzzwords right now, then you're not going to work together. You're not going to accomplish anything, and you will fall to obscurity the way that these gentlemen did in their time.
Yep.
And that's the harsh reality of it.
It is.
So,
no, that's real talk, and they.
I need weed.
You know, we get to the point. we get to the point. You know, when we talk about, you know, what will make the Libertarian Party get into that, you know, kind of mainstream political thought. You know, where we actually start electing more people to office and things like that. It is the idea that we're going to be part of a mosaic of political parties. We just have to be better at formatting our argumentation to get more people to support us. Having that voice, you know, allowing more parties into the system is going to be key to it. You know, allowing things like ranked choice voting and other reforms. But we have to understand that, you know, for us to, you know, inflict a libertarian system on people without doing that actual hard legwork of tearing the system that's already in there down, brick by brick, we've become the dictators that we abhor. That's the only way we could do it without doing the hard work. It's hard work. You have to outwork the people that are in office right now. You have to put in more work than they do, and you probably have to put in more work than they put in their you know, subsequent 10 elections, just to get your foot in the door to get elected. And you know, I think we're starting to see, you know, with things like the Frontier Project. That's how you have to do it. You have to walk the walk. You have to go bang doors. You have to do all that stuff. You're not going to win an election from a keyboard. Even within the Libertarian Party, you're not winning elections with a keyboard. You know, we
right. That's the thing. You don't like. Granted, the past. What? Go ahead.
Well, the last 2 times we've gone into a convention, you know, the biggest online presence we've had did not win their seats. You know, they got a couple of elections, but they didn't win. It's the people that show up to the events that win. The ones that do stuff win.
Well, even the online participants that did win, they had a laundry list of accomplishments and hard work and a resume to die for, as far as why they earned the position they got elected to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like we talked about Marjorie Ketchum over in West Virginia. Again, disagree with everything about her. Only reason that she won, though, in a place like West Virginia, given her demographic and everything like that, she was a community-involved, driven woman and did everything in her power to let her community know, yeah, we don't agree, but you're still my neighbor. You're still who I'm going to try and help through this, because this is a fucked up time. I admire her. Everybody's like, you know, name somebody that's not part of your party that you admire. She is one of them.
Yeah.
It's just baffling to me how hateful it's gotten now. Like, what was it the other day? I was at work, and I happened to like hear something along the lines. It was completely unprovoked, by the way, completely unprovoked. Somebody had mentioned something about gay marriage, and it was in a joking manner. A lot of us are veterans. A lot of us make those uncouth and arguably improper jokes, but that's just what we do. And out of nowhere, unprovoked, this guy jumps in and says, you know, oh yeah, da 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 da, and then turns it into this argument about how he's not really scared of going to war with people who can't wake up and decide what they are that day. And I'm just like, why? What was the point of that? To sound edgy? Like, you're the kid that farted in the bathtub and is amused with himself. Good job, little buddy. Like, that's what it is. Like, I'm like these edgelords that they've given rise to. because it's not just the bad actors and the like malicious that they've given soapboxes to. It's these fucking edgelords that think they're funny, and then they find their own little niche of people that feed into that weird little cesspool of botched humor.
Yeah.
And now we've got people that are stoking these fires of the reactionary and angry ones because they think it's funny. It's like, ha ha ha, I'm a collapsitarian. Da, 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 da. I was like, motherfucker, if you ever like stopped your fucking Twinkie or Hot Pocket flow, that would be enough for you to probably sell at your mother for a nickel. Shut up with your collapsitarian ass. Like,
it's clear that a lot of these people who talk about, collapsitarians or boogaloo or whatever. I mean, boogaloo is a little bit different, but
right, yeah.
But the
I could work with the boogaloo
collapsitarians, the
person.
ones that are like, I don't care if Trump won. He's gonna accelerate the collapse. If you've never studied, look at Africa, look at the Middle East. If you've never studied a civil war and a society that's truly collapsed, this is not. We've gotten ourselves so accustomed to being like a sitcom. Everything resolves in a half hour. This doesn't resolve in a half hour. These things drag on for decades, years, decades. What comes out of on the other end is likely going to be far more authoritarian than what we went into arguing about. So, the idea of, oh, let's do let's not care that Donald Trump gets elected or whoever gets elected and hope that they accelerate the collapse of the United States. That's not smart. It's not a smart way to do it. You should, if you see a friend walking towards the precipice, you should always put your hand on their shoulder and say, "Hey, take a step back," rather than waiting for everything, waiting for them to jump and then picking up the pieces afterwards.
And that's the thing. I think they don't think it's going to affect them because it's like, like I've had this conversation once this week already. It's like, look at some of these horror stories, not even just from the military or the combatant aspect. Look at it from the non-combatants, the innocents, the third country nationals that weren't even taking part in it that had to witness shit like a civil war going on in a country. Well, it's okay. My family will be safe because we've been prepping for this for like ever. Dude, we got the butcher. They got the butcher of Baghdad. No fucking problem. Pretty sure they're gonna find your ass in the holler somewhere in Kentucky.
Yeah,
like
it's not even that. I mean, these idiots are actually out there boasting about how much shit they have or how much they prepped, and the first thing that's going to happen is a warlord's going to come and take your shit because they're going to have far more guns. No matter how many guns you have, you only have two hands. And you may have more family members to help you, but there's always going to be a group that's stronger than you to take your shit, especially when
they always romanticize the bringing out the guillotines and getting rid of the royal family, but they forget that there's a Robespierre waiting in the wings.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. They have really, I don't get the whole romanticizing the idea of a civil war. It's, anybody who studied history and studied modern warfare, back in 1865, yeah, you had armies marching against one another on the field of battle. But you now have armies, you have people just melting into the woods and taking pot shots and doing asymmetrical warfare, bombings, things like that destabilize. And it's not even. Let's say you're not even in the area that's being impacted by the actual war itself. You could have downstream impacts. Let's say the breadbasket of the country gets set on fire because of the Civil War. Now you're having problems finding something to eat in the big cities on the East Coast or West Coast. These are knock-on effects that a lot of these people just don't understand. In a civil war, people are bastards to each other to try and win the war in any way possible. So when it comes to starving populations, and this isn't just the combatants on the recalcitrant combatants. Governments do it. the whole 1980s famine in Ethiopia was government driven. It was the government's trying to starve out rebels in Eritrea. And we sent all that wheat and all the U.S. The concerts we did for them and all the stuff we sent to Ethiopia, and that food sat there in a warehouse and rotted. It never went to the
Right.
people. The government did not want it to go to the people because they were trying to starve them out of their revolution.
Right. And I guess that's like, there was a point in time where, I won't lie, I was one of those grandstanders. I was ready for it, everything like that. Still working through my own issues. But then I sat there and really thought about it. I still think they're under the delusion too that it's just going to be two sides.
Oh, no.
This isn't going to be like the Civil War of the 1860s. This is going to be dozens of factions, like you said, it's going to be a warlord thing. All this time that like all this time is going to be consumed by one tribe taking out the other, and all this nonsense. So even if they do, by some weird success, gain any type of foothold and break the federal government's complete and total hold over the people, they've still played right into their hands because they're going to continue just weakening each other until the federal government can take back over. Like, this is all dark topic, but it's like, this is why, like, I'm not really worried about like people like Angeli and everything like that on the MAGA Patriot or the Patriot people. Like, I'm not worried about them starting a revolution. They don't have consistency. Like, we saw how it played out today, where they were like very sparsely like attended and everything as far as those protests. I'm not worried about that camp. I'm really, in all honesty, not worried about people in my own camp that are like screaming and ready for it and stuff like that.
No.
The ones that I know that are ready, I don't hear from them.
Well, yeah, those are the smart ones. Those are the ones that are going to be the warlords, because they're not bragging about shit. These guys that are bragging about shit are going to end up being weapons caches and supply holds for the warlords. Because somebody posted right before the whole hullabaloo on the 6th that we're coming, and he showed like this line of trucks heading down the highway, and armed men in the back of the trucks and shit. And I was like, you guys do that, and before you even get uncomfortable sitting in the back of the pickup truck, you're just going to be all I'm going to do is wait until the fire cools down, and I'll strip your bodies of all your weapons and shit, because you guys will get yeeted, no problem, no time between the time that you guys get started up and all of a sudden you see the jets coming over you,
Right, but that's the thing. Like, and I can already like I've gotten it a few times already this week. It's like, oh, you're just not ready for it and everything like that. I was like, nobody is, but we're not going to tackle that one. I'm tired of being made to look like people that love liberty, love freedom, are adherents to the ideal of anarchy. We're tired of looking fucking stupid. We're tired of looking stupid.
Yeah. I hate
we are very intelligent individuals. Like, hell, Tarnell Brown and Tom Arnold, some of the smartest people I friggin' know. That's what we are. Or they are. I won't say we. I've done way too much weed and alcohol to even claim that title. But some of the smartest people I know, this is what they adhere to, is anarchism and everything. And it's just, then you get your loud ass dumbasses that are screaming like, well, they drew first blood when they taxed me on this thing or something like that. And I've seen arguments like that. They're stupid. It's like, okay, there are other ways. Did you also know some of your favorite anarchists also believed in diplomacy and ways to handle situations like that? It's not all like, let me pretend I have the biggest balls in the room.
Yeah.
Like, it's never been about that. It is about winning the hearts and minds. It's about winning the fight. Like, I don't know. That's the terrifying part about me with it for me, because these motherfuckers being stupid are going to be the reason they act upon that relabeling of an anarchist as a terrorist.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm going to get
that's the most frustrating thing that's happened over this last week since the Capitol thing happened, is the number of times that they've said anarchy and anarchist, and these guys are not seeking no government. They're looking for their daddy. You know that they want more government, much more government than you know than currently exists, and they want it flavored orange.
Right. I think it's honestly, and because it's been the Democrats that have been mostly doing it this time around. Back during BLM, it was the Republicans that are doing it. This is calculated. I think there is a reason they are attacking that term, and soon it's going to be libertarians. It will. It'll be stuff like that. People that like claim sovereign citizen or something like that, or like because those are already people that end up on certain minor watch lists anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Like so it's like they're attacking the language now, and that is when I started realizing I am gonna back out of this. I'm gonna stand behind the glass, let you all throw shit at each other, because they're trying to make it to where me and a lot of people I know, a lot of people we both know, very good people, never harm a fly, never broken a really any type of law in their life, they're going to end up in fucking Gitmo because they're changing this language and trying to shut down people that would raise dissent and everything. Yeah. And that's the like. Don't get me wrong. Maybe that's a little bit of a conspiracy, but is it so far off given what we know that our government's capable of? Like that's minor compared to there's a cabal of pedophile rings operating out of a Little Caesars. Like. I would think mine's a little bit more believable because we've seen it happen and it actually, is a thing. Not to say that there aren't ulterior and nasty things going on with government, but that's what I'm saying. It's like we've witnessed shit like this before. We've witnessed language changes. We've witnessed like sociological forced shifts of how to view something or how to treat something, and it worries me. It does. That's the part that worries me. So
like. I know that there have been a lot of people worried about what happens to us on social media. That there have been incidents over the course of the election where a lot of libertarians disappeared for a time, and we had to work with Facebook to get them back on. I think do we end up in the whole cancel culture, which I hate that damn term.
I hate that term. It's a buzzword, and it's a buzzword for let me be an asshole.
True. Yes, exactly. Like, 90% of the time when people complain about getting yeeted off of Facebook, I saw what you posted last week. I'm like, I'm surprised it took this long, but also the fact that I've never been kicked off of Facebook for any period of time has always been astounding to me. But I don't. Like I make fun of things. I use humor in a lot of the stuff that I do, but I don't. For me, I don't like go for cheap humor like racist humor or
that edgelord shit.
Yeah, the edgelord shit. Yeah, definitely. Will I if I found something that's very racy? I might share it. Lord knows I've shared some stuff, but. Sometimes I do meet her. Like I'll send it to Cara and gross her out, or
it's what I heard.
I've actually become kind of this repository of there's like 4 or 5 people on Facebook that will send me Facebook Messenger of all these posts that they want to post, but they can't post because they're solid, upstanding citizens.
And, you're that friend. Okay.
Yeah. And sometimes I have to say, like, dude, really?
But I agree with you. It's like you've seen some of the stuff that I've posted. We've had long discussion. How am I not fucking banned on Facebook? Maybe it's because I'm also not talking about or making light of the genocide of another group of human beings. That could be it. I don't know. Maybe because I'm not thumping this like war drum made out of a Folgers coffee can and pretending I'm ready for something that I'm not.
Yeah.
So inciting violence isn't it? Maybe it's because I'm actually sticking to what we should be sticking to and winning hearts and minds over.
Yeah.
Like,
and do I think Facebook's made mistakes? Absolutely. There are people that have been kicked off of Facebook, which I'm like, whoa, why was that person taken off? Every once in a while, I think Facebook does adjust their algorithms, and they are a little stricter than they should be, and good people get caught up in it. But they've actually been responsive in getting those people back on too. So
Right. Well, that's the thing. They gutted my account when that big purge of libertarians and anarchists and like classical liberal people all started getting what are they called? Zucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when they started getting zucked and everything like that, I was one of the people that got shut down, but they only restricted my account. And then when I got back on there, they had gutted over 300 and something posts.
Oh my God.
I deleted 2 of the pages I admin for, which is fine. I mean, those 2 pages were virtually, one was for my congressional run, and the other one was I don't even remember. That's how important it was. Like it was like stuff like that. Like they went through and censored my account. I was like, I'm probably just going to say the same thing again. I'm one of the few people that can say the same thing 5 years ago and still believe it now.
Yeah.
Like, my conscience is clear. But yeah, no, it's like I got caught up in that, and like that was also troublesome. Some of it I could chalk it up to the whole what you said, the algorithmic like restructuring and everything. A lot of it though, it was like people who, again, like I had mentioned, never heard a fly, barely broken any of the laws they don't believe in anyway.
Yeah.
Which was even more astounding and more of an accolade to their sainthood. Like that were getting just yoinked. Never saw them again. Some of them I still haven't heard from. Like, I don't know if you saw. Did you see that guy that stole Pelosi's hard drive? He was found dead. Apparent suicide by gunshot to the chest. I don't know how true it is. It had a CNN thing on it. So I don't know exactly, if the details of that are true, but apparently the guy that stole Pelosi's hard drive is dead.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that they had stole a hard drive from her.
Yeah, she had it was hers and a few other Senate or Congress people that they stole like files off the computer and stuff.
Wow. That's a
I don't know how true it is. I saw it right before I hopped on, so anybody that's watching that might correct me, they're probably right. Ignore me. But I saw it right before I hopped on. I was like, oh, I want to read more about that.
Yeah. I'm that's going to get you some hardcore time. So, I mean, if he killed himself, that makes sense. But if he shot himself in the chest, I'm always leery of the odd area shooting yourself. I mean, I remember when Junior Seau did that, and he shot him, and a couple other football players have shot themselves in the chest because they wanted their brains researched. But there are, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe maybe a buddy did it for him. I don't know. But yeah, that's you steal. They get the guy that stole like a letter off of her desk. They put federal charges on that dude. Stealing a hard drive is a little bit. I mean, that's not hacking, but something along those same lines. Is that Pelosi's the Speaker of the House. She's third in line. She gets actual, briefing.
Right. This is arguably the most secure laptop in that building.
Yeah. I mean, there's shit on that laptop that you don't want other people finding out about. So.
Right. Well, I hate to cut it short, but my phone is about to die as well.
Yeah, and I gotta go make barbecue pork ribs. So.
All right. Well, I will hop the flight in the morning. Can you pick me up from Charleston?
Sounds good.
All right, man. All right, thanks for having me again. See you next week.
All right, man. And thanks to everybody out here who has been watching this show this last hour and 44 minutes. I really appreciate everybody stopping by. Next week on the Political Deep Dive episode number 6, we are talking Iran. Iran has always been a fascinating point for me to study. Last year around this time, the assassination of Qasem Soleimani, the top general of the Iran Revolutionary Guard, by the United States, kind of brought us to almost the brink of war. A passenger plane was shot down because Iran was on such high alert. I actually went on the radio here in Martinsburg and did a whole hour on, the history of the United States-Iran relations and how it plays into what's going on today. So I'll be doing that again next week. So the 8 o'clock hour, I'll be doing, it's just me solo talking about the history of Iran, U.S. relations, and starting out from the 40s on into the 70s, the late 70s, when we had good relations with Iran, and the reasons why they soured so much over the 70s into the 80s, when when the Ayatollah returns and takes over Iran and creates the Islamic Republic, and we will go into the flashpoints of what's going on between Iran and the United States, and really answering the question is, why is Iran mad with the United States? There are plenty of reasons for the nation of Iran to be mad with the United States and to fear the United States. So I hope you join me next week. It's a passionate subject for me, and I hope to leave you guys a little better informed about the subject next week. So anyway, 8 o'clock next Sunday, we'll be talking about Iran, and I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you everyone for joining, and we will see you next week.